If he loses to Jack, does he get right back in the mix at 170? Works his way back to that title shot. Is that what he does, or does he cut weight back down to 155 pounds? Was Ilya what he's going through now, what it is Islam in the announcement that we just got? What I'm attempting to prove to you is there is nothing in this sport that matters more to the fighters than the weight.
How do you think Islam versus JDM goes down?
Honestly, I think Islam will probably take it down. Like, Islam's wrestling really good. Like, even with me, I'm really committed to it. I took it down. Their team's so good at hacking in game plan and sticking to it.
Islam Makhachev is going to be fighting Jack Della Maddalena. How do you think those two match up?
I think Jack's fight against Belal was a perfect fight for leading into that. Just purely, you take a lot out of stop and takedowns, because again, there's every fighter still going to have little doubts that are going to creep in. I'm sure Jack was going through that, being like, all right, worried about, what if he takes me down and all that. But the fact that he was...
JDM don't wrestle, but he was defending well, and he puts damage on you.
Off rip.
Starts putting damage on you, and he can box.
So how do you see that fight with him and Islam? Does he have the ability to beat a guy like Islam?
He'll get takedown attempts coming at him very early. This time. The last fight, he didn't have to deal with that when he was fresh. If Islam can start to pressure him early and take him down early, or even just make him wrestle.
MMA fighters have now given their final say on how they see the showdown between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena playing out. Gilbert Burns is all for Islam's jump up to welterweight, saying 170 might actually be a better fit for him. He thinks a matchup with Jack Della Maddalena will be tight, especially with Jack sharpening his skills alongside Volkanovski and Craig Jones. Burns admitted he hasn't gone deep into tape on this one yet, but he's certain it'll be competitive.
Islam's working very hard. He's been saying vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he will not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. Yeah, I like him moving up. I proven himself. He's #1 pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of back the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're going to have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much on that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think. And JDM has a clear shot on beat.
Robert Whittaker also weighed in, saying he thinks Islam Makhachev can really thrive at welterweight, noting how draining it was for him to make 155. He believes that strength advantage should work well at 170, comparing it to Ilia Topuria's situation and calling it the $1 million question fans are all asking about.
I guess that's the $1 million question. That's the question everybody's asking. And that's kind of the question. It's the same situation as Topuria as well. How good is Topuria? But what's he going to look like up weight division? Same with Islam. By all reports, though, the weight cut was really hard for him, like really, really hard. He's super strong for that weight division, which must translate well to moving up, making it a little bit easy cut. Maybe he gets a little bigger. It's I'm very that's the $1 million question. Everybody's asking the same thing.
Whittaker pointed out that the weight cut was brutal for Islam. He's naturally so strong for that division, so moving up should help him cut less and maybe put on a bit more size. He explained that anytime someone moves weight classes, it brings questions with it. But he's confident Islam can do everything Belal Muhammad does, only better.
Definitely. But like I said, it is hard to try to get an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like, not knowing how Islam is going to look when he moves up. Okay, it's always the question everybody asks when anybody is moving up a weight division or down a weight division. Okay, there's so many unknowns involved. But saying that, I think that Islam can do everything that Belal does, but way better. Okay, way, way, way better.
Belal Muhammad, meanwhile, sees Islam taking Jack Della Maddalena down, given how good his wrestling is. He brought up his own experience with Jack, saying even he had to be fully committed to get him to the mat. Belal gave props to Islam's team too, praising them for always crafting a great game plan and sticking to it without mistakes.
How do you think Islam versus JDM goes down?
Honestly, I think Islam will probably take it down. Like, Islam's wrestling really good. Like, even with me, I'm really committed to it. I took it down. Their team's so good at hacking in game plan and sticking to it.
Chael Sonnen brought up the scenario of what happens if Islam loses to Jack Della Maddalena, Does he stay at 170 and work his way back up for a title shot? Or does he cut back down to 155? He mentioned guys like Ilia Topuria and Islam Situation to prove that nothing means more to fighters than chasing that championship belt. It's what keeps them going in this sport.
If he loses to Jack, does he get right back in the mix? At 170. His way back to that title shot. Is that what he does, or does he cut way back down to 155 pounds? Was Ilia what he's going through now, what it is Islam in the announcement that we just got? What I'm attempting to prove to you is there is nothing in this sport that matters more to the fighters than the weight.
Whittaker also touched on Jack's most recent win, saying it was close but fair. He knows Jack has a tough road ahead if he faces Islam, but believes Jack's drive and previous performances show he's got that grit. He said the fight was tight, but Jack deserved it. So it's not going to be easy against Islam, but Jack's got the heart and desire to push through.
I thought Jack handedly had the fight, but it was a fight. Okay, so I don't think it'll be an easy fight for Jack, but I believe in Jack. I think he's got that X factor. He's got that hunger there. You know, he's got the ticker, and you know, just like with Belal, just like with Burns before, I think he can do the impossible.
Ian Machado. Garry gave big props to Islam Makhachev too, saying if he's serious about welterweight, the whole division better watch out. He described Islam as a dangerous, well-rounded fighter who might be even more effective without a brutal weight cut. Garry said Islam is a complete modern MMA athlete, technical, calm, and a real problem for anyone. He added that if Islam turns up and says, "I want to be next," every welterweight should take that seriously because he's a nightmare matchup for them.
And if that man turns up and says, "I want to be next," then I think everyone in the welterweight division goes, okay. He's an absolute disaster for everyone in the division. If he comes up and doesn't have to cut weight, he'll still be big, he'll still be strong. He's the perfect example of the new evolution of fighters. Great everywhere.
Daniel Cormier explained that Jack Della Maddalena doesn't shoot for takedowns himself, but does a great job defending them and landing damage early on. He said Jack looked sharp in his last fight, but he didn't face early takedown attempts. And that's what will likely change when he faces Islam's pressure right from the start.
JDM don't wrestle, but he was defending well, and he puts damage on you.
Off rip.
Starts putting damage on you, and he can box.
So how do you see that fight with him and Islam? Does he have the ability to beat a guy like Islam?
He'll get takedown attempts coming at him very early. This time. The last fight, he didn't have to deal with that when he was fresh. If Islam can start to pressure him early and take him down early, or even just make him wrestle.
Cormier pointed out that Islam's wrestling isn't standard double leg or single leg stuff. Instead, he uses cage control, sweeps, and trips to wear his opponents down. He warned that Jack might not have dealt with that before, and it could cause real issues. Cormier didn't pick a side outright, but said it's a fascinating clash because it really tests whether Jack can handle that constant grappling threat.
Struggle. I don't know that he's ever felt anything like he's going to feel, because it's not going to be double legs and single leg with Islam. It's going to be him playing with his feet, tripping him, moving around on the octagon side, doing things that he don't recognize as freely.
But she didn't answer the question.
The problem is, like, I can only give you that because I can't truly make a prediction. The job doesn't allow it.
Dan Hardy showed love for Jack's talent, but wondered if he's ready to lead a deep welterweight division. He had doubts about Islam's success at 170, saying Jack likely won't lose to him, and that the added weight and cardio demands could be tough for Islam. Hardy said Jack was laser-focused against Belal and questioned whether Islam would look strong and conditioned at welterweight or come in heavier and risk gassing out, especially since he might jump right into a 5-rounder.
I think Della Maddalena's got a bright future. I don't know whether he's going to hold the belt or, he's going to lose it to another one of the top contenders and then pick it back up again. I don't think he's going to lose it to Makhachev, though. I think Makhachev holds the lightweight belt against anybody in the world, on any day, including Ilia Topuria. I don't think if he moved up, he would have much success against Makhachev. But Della Maddalena looked very, very sharp against Belal. And I wonder what Makhachev would look like as a welterweight, whether he would look as strong and as lean, or whether he would look heavier and, potentially gas himself out, because he'd be stepping straight into a 5-round fight, wouldn't he?
Renato Moicano called this matchup even. He acknowledged Islam's dominant grappling and his size at lightweight, but noted that moving up comes with its own hurdles. Moicano said Islam will need to bulk up right and adjust to stronger fighters, which levels the playing field and makes this a fair fight.
So Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, I think he needs to take some time to work to gain weight, to gain power, to gain strength. So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Javier Mendez said it's tough to compare Jack Della Maddalena and Ilia Topuria when it comes to being threats, but he stressed that Islam Makhachev is motivated by the challenge Jack brings. He praised Islam's well-rounded skill set and solid work ethic.
How do you feel about this version of JDM as a challenge for Islam? Do you feel like he's a harder challenge than an Ilia Topuria at lightweight?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area.
Mendez added that Islam fights on a level that no one Jack has faced before has dealt with, and he expects fireworks if they clash. He said the move to welterweight won't be an issue because Islam will still be strong and not undersized.
A whole different animal than Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Aljamain Sterling gave a strong take, saying he thinks Jack Della Maddalena would dominate Islam if they fought. He argued that it would be so lopsided that it might ruin any hype for a future Islam versus Ilia Topuria bout. Sterling pointed out Jack's bigger frame and precise mid-range striking as big problems for Islam, making it hard for him to get in close for takedowns, especially without his usual size advantage.
Pick JDM to win. Now he's got a big challenge in his first title defense against Islam. Do you think he's got what it takes to beat an Islam Makhachev in his first defense?
People are going to say it's a wild take, but I reckon JDM smokes Islam. Shins him so bad. It's going to be so bad that the Topuria Islam thing will just be gone.
Do you think Islam's wrestling won't be a threat to JDM just because he's a lot bigger?
He's a lot bigger, and when you watch JDM, you put him on the end of mid-range, he's just going to throw. That's hard to shoot in on. He's not going to be able to just abuse his size against him either. I think Islam's in for a rude awakening.
Alexander Volkanovski gave his breakdown too, saying Jack's fight with Belal Muhammad was the perfect warm-up. He believes defending those takedowns boosted Jack's confidence big time. Volk added that Jack's takedown defense has improved a lot, so it'll be tough for even elite grapplers to get him down and keep him there.
Islam Makhachev is going to be fighting Jack Della Maddalena. How do you think those two match up?
I think Jack's fight against Belal was a perfect fight for leading into that. Just purely, you take a lot out of stop and takedowns, because again, every fighter's still going to have little doubts that are going to creep in. I'm sure Jack was going through that, being like, all right, worried about, what if he takes me down and all that. But the fact that he was able to stop it and feel so comfortable, I guarantee you he's leveled up again. His confidence in his takedowns has just went up significantly leading into this fight. I think his confidence is going to be at a whole nother level. So through camp, I guarantee you, if he's back in training right now, people trying to take him down are going to find it almost impossible. Only the top guys are going to have a chance of taking him down, and they're going to have a very hard time even holding him down.
John Wood called this a really good stylistic matchup. He said Jack's experience against Belal gave him great prep for facing a similar approach, though Islam executes at an even higher level. Wood thinks if Jack keeps developing and stays confident, this matchup could be really fun. On the feet, he favors Jack, but said the real test will be whether Jack's takedown defense holds up when it counts.
I like it. I think that's a great fight. I feel like if Jack can keep building upon what he did in his, in against Belal, he's seen that style now from a champion, and it's very similar to what Islam's going to do. I think Islam does it a little bit better. So as long as Jack is improving and getting better and his confidence is there, it's very interesting. I feel like on the feet, I think Jack's got him on the feet. It's just that obviously if that takedown defense can hold up, that's the thing.
Wood also said betting against Islam is risky, comparing it to betting against Kamaru Usman in his prime. He did mention there are a few gaps in Islam's takedown setups that Jack could take advantage of. But until someone actually solves that puzzle, Islam remains a dangerous threat on the ground.
With Islam, obviously everybody is like, it's one of those things where you can't bet against Islam at this point in time until you see a chink in the armor. It's like betting against Morocco. You know, you can do it. It's not a smart bet, but until someone figures out that puzzle, I don't know. Islam is a different kind of cat on the ground, you know, and his striking is not bad. You know, he's going to come at you and get you to strike and eventually, you know, take a shot. There are some holes in his game and holes in the entries and you know, obviously, you know, being Team Khabib, there are definitely some things that you can expose to get that win. And if Jack figures that out, I think it'd be the long night for Islam. But again, I wouldn't bet against Islam until I see somebody kind of break that code.
Michael Cheese complimented Jack's smart strategy against Belal Muhammad, pointing out how he avoided the black line, switched stances, and forced Belal into less effective takedowns. He liked how Jack adjusted under pressure and said he's curious to see if all that training with Craig Jones will help him counter Islam's wrestling-heavy style.
We have to give credit to Jack Della because he did such a good job not getting boxed in. He was able to change stances, strike from both stances, and avoid the pressure from Belal, because if Belal can box you in and get past that black line, you know, he's gonna, and when I say black line, it's the octagon within the octagon. There's that black line right by the fence, and if he can get you past that black line, that's when he pours it on the thickest. And he did a good job using his stance changes to not get boxed in, forced Belal into taking long shots, and forced Belal to fight his fight. So I got to give credit to the former champion. He fought a great fight outside of his wheelhouse, which is his grappling, but credit to Jack Della for fighting a great fight.
Does he beat Islam, do you think?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's Islam's a big boy, and he's a very smart fighter. I don't know. You know, we'll see if the Craig Jones magic can pay off. Is Craig Jones really the kryptonite to the Dagestani style of fighting? That remains to be seen, but I'm here for it.
Jack Hermanson said, "It's never easy to predict how a fighter will look after changing weight classes." He thinks Islam looks nearly unstoppable at lightweight and could be the best pound for pound, but he's not sure that will automatically carry over to welterweight. Hermanson said Jack looked really good against Belal Muhammad, but feels like he needs more fights to really judge where he stands.
Yeah, it's so hard because you never know when people are changing weight classes. But in lightweight, you know, Islam looks like unbeatable. It's just like maybe the pound for pound best. It's just so insanely good. But can he do it in a weight class above? I'm not sure. Really, really hard to predict a fight like that. I think I still have to say Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. Yeah, we need to see a few more fights with Jack. It looked amazing against Belal, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Islam is just so good.
Henry Cejudo said he believes Islam Makhachev will beat Jack Della Maddalena and pick up a second UFC belt, calling it the next logical step. Kamaru Usman, though, is siding with Jack, praising his composure under fire and saying he's got what it takes to hang on to that welterweight strap. Both think the fight could happen in October in Abu Dhabi, which would likely push any Islam versus Ilia Topuria fight back.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny, keep it nice for me." JDM, I mean, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the talking has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's going to take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer going to get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
Dustin Poirier said this one could be decided early on. If Islam gets quick takedowns, he's got the edge. But if Jack stops them, then his power and reach could take over. He also said Islam's striking can look awkward, since his opponents are always so focused on stopping the wrestling threat.
Do you think he beats Jack Della Maddalena?
I think we'll find out first, second round how much trouble he has getting him down. I think if he gets those takedowns, he's going to get the win. If Jack can stop those takedowns, which he does have good takedown defense, I think the boxing and the size could wear on Islam and give him some problems. But his striking's, awkward and different. You have to worry so much about the takedown. You can't plant your feet and throw off those number combinations and really rip and sit on your punches because he's going to change levels. So it changes the way you fight. Well, for me, it did. I'm speaking from experience. So we'll see how Jack approaches and how Jack executes out there. But if you're worried about takedowns, you know, your shots are different. You're not sitting on everything and standing in front of the guy. You're trying to move and be light on your feet. I think the first 2 rounds will tell us how this fight's going to go.
Charles Oliveira talked about the clash in styles, saying Jack is a patient striker who picks you apart. He expects Islam to lean heavily on his wrestling, but said the real question is whether Jack can keep it standing long enough to land his shots.
O que você acha que ganha entre o Jack Della Maddalena e o Islam?
Maddalena, ele é um jogo muito complicado, porque ele é um cara que ele não vem pra te nocautear rápido, ele vem te magoando, né?
Aos poucos, né?
Aos poucos. Foi o que ele fez agora no luta contra o Belal. Só que eu acho que o Islam vai se dar muito bem nessa categoria, né, mano? Agora vai estar muito mais forte, é um jogo que, tipo, ele gosta de agarrar e botar pra baixo. Eu acho que o Jack Maddalena fazia a mesma luta que ele fez, né? Agora contra o Belal, batendo, movimentando, saindo, machucando, é uma luta, mas se deixar o Islam agarrar e botar pra baixo é o time.
So, that's it for today's video. What do you think about this matchup? Can Islam shine at 170, or will Jack Della Maddalena hand him an upset? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Catch you next time.